Captain's Log, September 18th, 2014. So at what point do we just rename the channel to Superhero Geekvolution? I mean, I'm looking 4 or 5 years out and thinking, at some point, we're gonna end up having to post like 5 videos a day that are nothing but discussion and reviews about superhero and comic book derived TV shows. This is getting nuts right now. A week ago, I did a Captain's Log on the Supergirl show that's in development, and that very day, we got word that there was also a Teen Titans show in development. That tells you something right there. I can't even keep up with it anymore. It's like, as soon as I make a video, now, I mean, I waited a few days, but it's like, as soon as I decide to make a video on something, it's already old news and there's this other thing that's in development. I never thought I'd see this with superhero TV shows. I certainly never really expected to see what we're seeing with the movies, but now it's like we've got all of these shows that are being developed based on different superheroes. I'm looking back 10 years and when we were watching Smallville and Birds of Prey and thinking, oh, if only we could get a superhero show that actually had a character in a costume. And pretty soon, yeah, I said in my Supergirl video that we were kind of getting spoiled. We're really about to get spoiled if very many of these things go in development and if they're any good. We're gonna look back on things we said 10 years ago and we're gonna be like, wow, I don't even remember a world where there weren't several live-action superhero shows that were just straight-up superheroes, where we actually let the characters put on costumes and we didn't have to shy away from that. So, 2 more in development right now. One of them is just a animated miniseries, and I'll get to that in a minute, and that one's definitely happening. The other one is Teen Titans that's being developed for TNT, and we heard about this, like I said, a week ago, so I'm not going to say a lot about it. There's not a lot to say about this. It's in development, and it might happen, but I'm sure a lot of you guys know about this already, but I thought I would bring it up because people had been asking me about it, and I was like, wow, that came out the exact same day that I did the thing on Supergirl, so I didn't make a video about it right away. So I'll mention it here. It's being developed for TNT, and when I hear TNT is putting together a show, and it might happen, I think, yeah, that's probably going to happen. I mean, what does TNT really have that anybody talks about? Whenever I hear something for a smaller network like that, TNT, TBS, I'm like, yeah, that show's gonna happen. So I think the fact that that network has already been brought up and that they're not shopping it around is, unless the pilot is just absolutely horrid and the executives there are not that desperate, probably going to actually happen. It's being penned by Akiva Goldsman, who wrote Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, but nobody freak out because of, if that's the only thing that you know Akiva Goldsman from, because he's a pretty good writer. I love A Beautiful Mind, and he wrote that movie as well. You can't always tell how good a writer is just based on their bad work, because, and I like Batman Forever, but it just, you know, if you just look at Batman and Robin and go, oh, he wrote that. Well, writing it and what it actually turns into are different things, not to mention mandates that studios have on people. Oh, you gotta make this thing a cartoon, it's gotta be really, really super silly. It's a high school kind of paper project where you're told you must write this, this, and this, and then you turn it in, and then you get a grade, or in this case, a paycheck. So, Akiva Goldsman, I think, I perked up when I heard that name, because I was like, oh, as long as he's pretty unfettered, that could be a really fantastic script. So I'm pretty excited about that. That could be really cool. Apparently it's going to be a little bit more like the 1980s New Titans series, so I would expect to see characters like Raven and Cyborg and people like that in it, and everybody is saying, though I don't think this has really been confirmed, that Nightwing is almost certainly going to be the leader character in it. And I just think it's really interesting that we may have 3 shows on TV, all in separate universes. I don't think this will probably have anything to do with the Arrow and Flash universe. Certainly it won't if it's on TNT and not with that same network. I'm really pretty positive they probably will not connect them up. And then, by the way, Deathstroke is kind of a question there then, because, like, are we going to have Deathstroke in both of those shows? So, I don't know, because Arrow has used so much Teen Titans stuff that it would be kind of interesting to have 2 shows using a lot of those characters at the same time, and is that going to preclude them from using certain characters? I would imagine, actually, maybe not. We're going to end up, if this happens, with 3 shows that are using Batman characters in 3 different continuities. That's really kind of interesting, that you might have a show with Dick Grayson like, will Batman be in that universe, or will it just be a Nightwing without Batman at all? I think that could work. So anyway, we've got that in development, and as I said, I think that's very likely to happen. The thing that was announced today, and the reason I decided to go ahead and do a Captain's Log, is because we have a new movie. Now, I guess the movie we already knew about, or at least the internet knew about. I actually had not looked forward enough, I guess, for the DC direct-to-video movies. There is a new one finally coming out that is a team-up with Bruce Timm and Alan Burnett, called Justice League Gods and Monsters. So Bruce Timm finally coming back to do another movie. When he left the DC direct-to-video movie thing, he said that it was to go pursue other shows, that like he was going to do other things, and nothing else has really popped up. So I wonder if he just took a lot of time off, and now he's come back. I don't know if he's going to... I'm sure he won't actually come back and re-head up that, but maybe he's just doing one more and then has other projects planned. I have no idea what's going on with Bruce Timm. But anyway, so we're getting this new movie. It's called Justice League Gods and Monsters, and before that happens, there's going to be a little 3-episode miniseries that's animated on Machinima, of all places. Yeah, the network that we're affiliated with. I had no idea that Warner Brothers had apparently sunk like $18 million into Machinima, and now they're giving them things like this. Boy, the world is changing, right? Where you would have expected a thing like this to have either been on TV or been direct-to-video, or if it was gonna be a web thing, like maybe just on Warner Brothers' website, and then they collected it later and put it on DVD. But like now, with all of this streaming stuff, you have all these different competitors. I never thought I would see Machinima as a player as a potential player in this streaming arena of competing shows that could have been on television, like we've got with Netflix and with Amazon and Hulu, etc., VO, etc., etc. And now they're getting this show. Now, again, it's going to be this tiny 3-episode thing. I don't know how long it is. I don't know how long the episodes are. When I hear 3-episode miniseries, I'm like, well, it seems like you just put those together and you've got a movie about the length of these direct-to-video movies. So I wonder how short they'll be. And the internet kind of lit up when this happened because, of course, Bruce Timm and Alan Burnett's names were attached to it, but I kind of think this is actually going to be less of a big deal than anybody realizes, because it's a prequel set up for this movie. I think it's likely to be kind of more like prequel tie-in comics or something, where you just get a couple of where you just get this little story that sets the thing up and you go, oh, okay, I didn't really need that, I guess it was okay. I would be surprised if this wasn't kind of like that. We know very little about this project, both the show and the movie together, except that, and I think this is the thing that people were latching onto. I read a couple blogs and that people were latching onto and going, wait, what? Why are we saying that it's supposed to be darker superheroes? That Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman, it didn't mention any other characters, are going to be much darker versions of themselves, and it's going to be alternate versions, and it was reported that way on Variety. I don't know where they got that. Apparently, there were no really quotes from Warner's or anybody about that. So I'm like, I don't really know what that means. Darker than what? Like, it sounds like a silly commercial that's like 15% creamier or 20% tastier than what? I guess itself. Well, I guess when it's percentages, it's like creamier than it was before. But when you just say, bolder or better, then what? We use these really vague advertising terms in order to sell things and get people excited about things. Oh man, darker. Yeah, darker. I want my superheroes darker. Yeah, but then what? Like, look at comics lately. Like, the article, or I'll put a link to it in the description. The blog I read gave this big list of all of the things going on in DC right now that seem so dark that you can't really get any darker, and still be like, oh man, look how dark and edgy we are. I don't know. That's such a a vague term. What does it mean? Because Variety was like, these characters will be darker versions of them than you have seen before. I'm like, okay, so that doesn't mean that the world will be darker. It means that the characters themselves, okay, so are we just kind of adapting Injustice? Like, what are we doing? Gods and Monsters immediately kind of invokes this idea of what is the difference between those two things. So I imagine that it's going to be kind of exploring that idea, and this might be Bruce Timm's take on the dark superhero. Like, it might be him looking at 52 and other things and saying, yeah, no, I could do that better and make you actually really like the characters and that kind of thing. And nobody freak out. There are things in 52 I really like, but when people say, Superman in some places seems like kind of a jerk face, yeah, I mean, it's true. There are some, and Batman especially with stuff, like this guy even brought up the thing that I constantly complain about, which is, he dissected Frankenstein in order to try to bring Damian Wayne back. But the thing the article didn't mention that I wanted to bring up is, what about all the other direct-to-video DC movies lately? The whole point has been, look, we're PG-13 and more adult and darker. So, yeah, at some point, I'm really hoping that people start to figure out, like I don't know, the media and even like studio executives and stuff, figure out that dark is not new anymore. For superheroes or anything else, post-apocalyptic is the most in thing right now, so you're not going to surprise anyone by saying, look, ours isn't gonna be cute and cuddly. Ours is gonna be serious and realistic and broody. Yeah, you and everybody else making things right now. Anyway, so that's what's going on. Really interesting to me that Machinima got that, and I don't know what that means for them. I don't know if they'll get other things like that down the line. I don't know if it means that they will ultimately end up being a player in this streaming media kind of thing. I mean they are, but they haven't had their own content in that way. They're a network for videos, and so yeah, they make their own stuff, but it's about video games and things. They haven't had, I think, anything like this, really. So, where somebody huge like Warner Brothers has come to them and said, we want you to air this. So anyway, what do you guys think about the two shows that are in development right now, or at least Teen Titans in development, and this thing actually happening? Leave your comments. Looking forward to reading them as always. And I'm sure while I've been sitting here, there's been another one in development. I'm sure we're gonna get like a, I don't know, like a Sam and Twitch show. Apparently Scalped is supposed to be in development for a TV show. I didn't know that. There's just so many things going on right now. I would imagine like there's probably like a Howard the Duck cartoon. Like I'll probably turn around and be like, oh man, there's a Howard the Duck. Nothing would surprise me right now. A Galactus cooking show. Here's how you salt and pepper your planets. Nothing would surprise me right now. Anyway, leave your comments. Looking forward to reading them. I am Captain Logan, and this concludes today's Captain's Log.